GH1 TV, your best experience.
Hi there, my name is Ridwan Karim Dini Osman. Welcome to the program. GHToday News begins right now. And coming up, key witness in the JIDA scandal accuses High Court judge who sat on the case of injustice. Also this morning, we explore why changing the name of the seat of government seems a temptation politicians cannot resist. Kaiser Flats still upstanding a month after over 400 residents were evicted for being illegal tenants. We have details of these and many other stories coming up in a bit. Stay with us. Remember, this broadcast is coming to you live from our Platinum High studios here in Accra. A key witness in the Ghana Youth Employment and Entrepreneurial Development Agency scandal, Jacob Adongho, has accused the Accra High Court judge, Justice Efia Asare-Boche, of injustice for convicting former National Coordinator of JIDA, Abuga Pele, and businessman Philip Asibit. According to the Director for Gender and Disability at the Youth Employment Agency, the judge failed to evaluate the compelling evidence he presented during the trial, and this negligence resulted in a 6-year jail term for Abuga Pele and 12 for Philip Asibit.
Jacob Adongho was a key witness during the trial of the JIDA case, which spanned 4 years at the Accra High Court. Contrary to Justice Efia Asare-Boche's judgment, which indicated that lawyers of the accused persons failed to prove that money given to businessman Philip Asibit was used for training and workshops, Jacob Adongho says he provided testimonies that he supervised the training as a witness during the trial. He wondered why his testimonies were not captured in the court's judgment.
I was in Northern Ghana to supervise the training of these 250 young people. I was part of the team that supervised the training of these people to gather information for YEA to use to together with our consultant prepare the World Bank contract. The fact that the judge concluded that the GIG did not produce any exit plan for the NYEP cannot be the case.
Jacob Adongho believes Justice Efia Asare-Boche's judgment on the JIDA case is an act of injustice. He challenged her argument that lawyers of the defendants failed to provide burden of proof in their case against state prosecutors. He also wondered why some key persons, including the internal auditor of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, who approved payment of the money, were not hauled before the court during the trial.
The trial judge failed to evaluate the compelling evidence presented by the defense team before arriving at such damning conclusions leading to the conviction. If the judge was minded of the evidence before her, she would have noticed that the $5 million was being expended on preparatory activities, including the trip to Latin America, which had government officials travel to understudy a similar project sponsored by the World Bank to replicate same in Ghana.
Meanwhile, lawyers of businessman Philip Azibit and former national coordinator of GHToday, Abuga Pele, are heading to the Court of Appeal to seek redress.
From legal matters, let's take you to the corridors of power. Now, the political back and forth with a change of name of the seat of government has been ignited once again as President Akufo-Addo is bent on renaming Flagstaff House Jubilee House. While some believe both names have historical basis, others simply reckon it is absolutely unnecessary. In the following report, we explore why politicians cannot simply resist the temptation of renaming the seat of government whenever they gain power. The Flagstaff House was the British military headquarters during the colonial era. It later became the presidential palace during the tenure of Ghana's first president, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The plush presidential palace was rebuilt in 2008 during the reign of former President John Ejikun Kufuor. It was then known as the Golden Jubilee House until the National Democratic Congress took over governance of the country in 2009 under the late President, Professor John Evans Atta Mills. Professor Mills refused to occupy the Flagstaff House, preferring the colonial edifice, the Osu Castle, as the seat of government. He also reverted the name of the edifice to Flagstaff House, claiming the name Jubilee House was not backed by law. The house was temporarily used as offices for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs until the presidency was moved there later in 2013. It's been almost 9 years and the current NPP administration still appears unenthusiastic about the name Flagstaff House. And in fact, President Akufo-Addo has always demonstrated an unerring quest to rename the seat of government Jubilee House. His latest announcement was when some chiefs paid a courtesy call on him at the Flagstaff House. Political historian Professor Nana Esilfi Kondia, however, insists the president should not be seen to be playing politics with such an important landmark.
It is raising a wholly unnecessary controversy. It is not important. We've got to not to forget that we have a history. In our poor way of handling our history, we don't even leave landmarks. Flagstaff House is a name that is an important bit in our historical landmark for this country, just like the Osu Castle, Christiansburg. I don't know what is urging anyone to itch to do this displacement.
Former Deputy Communications Minister Felix Kwakye-Ofosu is certain the president wants to distort the country's history.
They've made a myriad of promises that they've not been able to keep. They promised us a factory in every district. They've not even molded a single block to start putting our factories. They promised a dam in every village. There's not a single trench that has been dug with a view to building a dam. They promised to send $1 million to every constituency every year starting from last year. Not a cent has been sent to any constituency in this country. They promised the youth of Ghana jobs. They promised to reduce fuel. They have not done it. So whilst all these promises beg for attention, the last thing you expect is that the president would put such triviality on the front burner and engage in such insignificant matters.
Meanwhile, some members of the public have greeted the president's decision with mixed feelings.
I honestly don't see anything wrong with it because history is history. So if he wants to change it, there's nothing wrong with it. To me, it's okay.
So Jubilee or Flagstaff, as you are okay with any of them?
it's always been Flagstaff House. So if you want to change it to Jubilee is calling not a bad name, so it's okay.
I think the change of name wouldn't have any effect on what we need is him to do what he promised to do for us in the country, not to change the name. The name change will not make any difference in the policy that he wants to bring into the country.
I think it's high time we just stuck to one particular name. I don't think it's relevant to any form of any development. So it's better we just get one name and then we stick to it, because if any party comes in power and decides to be changing the name of places, I don't think it makes sense at all.
It's not Martin, it's their party, so they can change. It was Kofo who changed it. Then when the NDC people came, they changed it. So if MPP they are in power, then they have to change. They have their right. They can do it.
But what will be the worst case scenario if the Akufo-Addo-led government goes ahead with the renaming of the Flagstaff House?
Whoever succeeds will change it. It will raise a furor in the country. They may choose not to mind either in Parliament because they have an overwhelming majority, and the whip, the three-line whip, will be raised to pass it. But then there will be another occasion where this will have to be reversed for the reasons that I've given you. That is why I am saying it's so unimportant, never important.
The Flagstaff House is ranked the 10th most beautiful presidential palace in the world, while the lips of many Ghanaians have become used to the name Flagstaff House. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo does not seem committed to maintaining the status quo. Reporting for GH1 News, my name is Ridwan Karim Dini Osman. Executive Director of Dunkwa Institute, Kingsley Nyakon, has stated that Ghana must take significant steps to promote good governance in the country. According to him, good leadership built on transparency and accountability is very critical to the development of Ghana. With individual freedoms at the heart of the Institute's philosophy, the Institute believes that government should be dedicated to the growth of a property-owning democracy in order to enrich the life of every citizen of the country.
Building a democratic society is not only about the systems, it's also about the people. So the idea is to take our members to training, all our members, from the polling station level, those who are coordinators, coordination level, regional, national, and the members of parliament.
On his part, former director of the institution, Gabi Ocheredakon, said the institute will continue to nurture the youth with different forms of training.
Dunkwa Institute should remain intellectually independent. It must tell the truth to power, but in a way that is constructive. The most important thing is how we prepare the young ones to take up the mantle of leadership. A leadership of integrity, a leadership of patriotism, of higher values than what we've been used to or served as a country.
As part of celebrating 10 years of existence, the institution will be donating to inmates at the Swan prisons, among other activities. Dunkwa Institute, which was established in January 2008, is named after the late Dr. Joseph Boachi Dankwa, one of Ghana's founding fathers, who established Ghana's first political party in 1947. You're still watching GHToday News on GH1 television. My name is Ridwan Karim Dini Osman. Now, on 1st February, there was a mass evacuation of about 400 persons from 4 old dilapidated blocks at the Tema Community for Kaiser Flats in the Greater Accra region. The buildings, which have several deep structural cracks and in bad shapes, were to be demolished, hence the evacuation. However, almost a month after the evacuation, residents of unaffected blocks are living in fear of the day they will lose their homes.
Occupants of 4 of the Kaiser Flats blocks were thrown out in an eviction exercise by the Tema Development Corporation. The occupants, numbering about 400 were living in the flats, which officials say have failed structural integrity tests. Almost a month after the residents were evicted to pave way for the buildings to be demolished, nothing has happened. The cracks have deepened as water still seeps through them. 3 other buildings are still under lock and key, undisturbed since the mass evacuation. Our efforts to get TDC officials to speak to explain the long wait proved futile. Nonetheless, our sources tell us the structures will be pulled down on March 1. The suspense has spread fear among residents.
Problem is, yes, sit down the same year. Ain't it a been to me week in JB? And I'm out for their making because building there, you see me the same year. And I said the same. The one person to I said the Tadia, on baby my name because of baby would die. Ebe can baby there. Uda how I know say buegu so na infani eko.
Other persons occupying container shops close to the condemned flats have been given notices to move, but they want the Tema Development Corporation to give them more time.
Time. Baba bubu no na yeso oma 2 years. 3 weeks. 3 weeks extra. Since first day no be 2 microphone. But oma baba by anim so ombeba. Ntinka time. Baba bubu dan no na oma pe baby man na enko.
I think they should include those people around, all those buildings, not these people alone. If really they mean that the block is condemned, they should add other people to it. You go around and see it. I don't want to say, and maybe you think that I'm just being a pasha or something.
In June 2017, the TDC, together with the police, stormed the Kaiser Flats to evict 400 occupants following an order issued by the Tema High Court in 2013 after the TDC had ruled that the flats failed structural integrity tests. The 4 flats have deep cracks, with almost all the metal pillars rusted, a situation which would indeed have been a disaster if not checked.
Now, Member of Parliament for Aswase, Muntaka Mubarak, has vowed to defeat the Legal Profession Regulations 2018. Now, the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament is recommending approval of the legislative instrument seeking to regulate admissions into the law school in spite of petitions from law students for its withdrawal. However, the Minority Chief Whip, who has gathered signatures from his colleagues, tells GH1 News he will trigger a standing order of Parliament called Division, which requires every MP's name is recorded against his vote on the matter.
Muntaka Mubarak, confident the LI will be defeated, he challenged the recommendation by the Subsidiary Legislation Committee to pass the LI.
Why do you want to put the cart before the horse? Because all LIs are driven from the Act. So simply bring the Act, let us all put our minds together, let's get the Act right. When we get it right, then we'll now have an LI that will deal with the Act. But why do you want to say that, oh, because I'm prepared to bring an Act, give me the LI to go and I later bring the Act? Why? It's not done.
The Majority Leader, Osei Chairman Sabonsu, and Chairman for the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, Mahama Ayariga, faulted Muntaka and his other colleague for collating signatures to throw out the LI, explaining the move was alien to the House. The Minority Chief Whip, however, argues the attack was unwarranted since the move was only to galvanize support against the LI.
Before then, it was overwhelming. Now they are bringing these excuses and pleading and calling individual members and talking to them and what have you. I'm not convinced because I still believe that it can be better than the way they are doing it. Look, it doesn't matter about numbers. You don't need numbers to call for division. You don't need numbers. One person can call for division so that the record of the House will have it that this is when it came to the count. This is how people voted.
Now, the Minister for the Interior, Ambrose Derry, says a team of investigators Investigators from Ghana have been invited to look into allegations of sexual abuse by Ghanaian policemen on UN peacekeeping mission in South Sudan. Now, the minister did not mince words when he promised those found culpable will be dealt with.
We want to make sure that our police maintain the highest standards, that they obey the laws here, they obey the laws wherever they go, and they obey the laws and regulations of their engagement with the United Nations. As we speak today, United Nations has agreed that we send our own police investigators, and they are going to investigate. First of all, I want to assure that should we find any of our own culpable, we're going to deal with it.
Let's still stay on security matters, and the Interior Minister has assured the public of maximum security in the wake of recent armed robbery cases. This follows a brazen attack on Royal Motors by 4 armed men on Tuesday. Now, 2 suspects have since been arrested. Reacting to the incident, Ambrose Derry told the public not to panic.
Speaking to GH1 News, the Nandom MP said logistical challenges of the police service are being addressed. Derry disclosed government is in the process of procuring choppers to aid in police work. He believes helicopters could have prevented an easy getaway by the robbers.
We are now being confronted by the fact that, yes, the president made the commitment of 800 million. We are initiated action to procure. But then we might have to go for the fastest means of procurement. And I think that among the things that we are seeking to buy, helicopters, for instance, and drones, are things that will give us the capacity to be able to do that. If a helicopter took to the air yesterday and were flying over those guys, they would have aborted and run away. But we are yet working hard to get there. But what I want to tell you is that in all these things, the president is very much awake.
The Interior Minister, however, refuses to accept the NPP administration has failed to give Ghanaians adequate security. Ambrose Derry argues the situation hasn't gotten out of hand to warrant the involvement of the military, as suggested by many.
The Minister for Defence and I are convinced that if we could let the internal matters be run by the police and other agencies and then leave the soldiers to deal with external matters, it will be good. But having said that, it would be naive to say that in the transition we wouldn't need them. Yes, we'll continue to need them. We haven't lost control at all. It's a regrettable situation in the past 2 days, but I can assure you the police are on top of it.
MP for Ablekuma South and former Accra Mayor Alfred Oko-Vanderpoy, however, argues the military must be called in to assist the police. The member of the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament believes a task force is what is required to address the rising insecurity situation.
They have to be called to action under the leadership of the Ministry of Local Government, the Ministry of Defence, and the Ministry of Interior. They must put in place the action committees, task force, made up of the police and the military and the BNI, because these sections of our ministries are all members of the DISEC and the MESEC of the various assemblies. They ought to be activated immediately.
This is the GHToday news on GH1 television. My name is Ridwan Karim Dini Osman. The bulletin returns shortly with business. The Africa Center for Economic Transformation is advocating the need for Ghana to engage a broader consultation on the long-standing disconnect between academia and the job market. In an interview with GH1 News, a labor economist with the African Center for Economic Transformation, Professor William Barboating, said the time has come for government to be strategic in its approach towards job creation for the majority of the teeming youth who graduate from various levels of education each year. With the exception of 2014, when growth fell below 4%, the country's GDP growth has been remarkably high, ranging between 4.3% and 14%. This gives an annual average growth rate of 8.1% over the period 2007 to 2013. But this has not translated into jobs for a rapidly expanding population, as employment growth has not kept pace with GDP. According to the Africa Center for Economic Transformation, the youth unemployment pattern appears higher among the educated than the less educated. This, the center blames on the missing link between Ghana's educational system and the job market.
The training that we are giving is not based on what the labor market is looking at. And when we say that, it's not just training some people in certain programs, but it's about how to teach people to think, how to teach people to be creative, how to teach people to be innovative. And because the world of work is changing so fast that if you train somebody to use the camera, in the next 5 years, you see that that type of work will not be there. Remember, in those days, we used to have typewriters, and typewriters are no more. So when you are training, you have to train the people to be innovative, to be adaptable to every changing situation, and that is the best way to go.
Professor William Barboati called on the president to adopt strategic plans to ensure that while leveraging the private sector, it also contributes meaningfully to creating jobs.
If we leave everything to the private sector, it gets to a point then where government have to come in to regulate. So government will have a lot of tasks in regulating it. So government should not leave everything to the private sector. Government should also have some kind of role and not only focus on regulation.
Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry Carlos Kingsley Ahenkra has opened the 22nd Ghana International Trade Fair with the assurance that government is committed to create more employment opportunities in the 216 districts to curb the rural-urban drift. This year's fair, which hinges on government's one district, one factory policy, seeks to enhance one economically viable enterprise in each of the districts of Ghana.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Trade Fair Company Limited, Dr. Agnes Edu, who welcomed the exhibitors to the 22nd Ghana International Trade Fair, said the fair will promote a platform for local and global companies to interact and network to form lasting partnerships.
This year we are excited to use this platform to try to revive what Trade Fair is for. Trade Fair is an organization or the company through which government can promote local industry and partner us with our global partners. So this year we are focusing on just that, industrialization.
Addressing participants at the fair, the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Carlos Ahenkra, said this year's fair is targeted at enhancing the economic potentials of the country while creating import substitutes and addressing the rural-urban migration challenges in the country.
I consider the theme for the 22nd Ghana International Trade Fair 2018, Industrializing Ghana, Creating Jobs, as most appropriate and timely. Our government's vision to embark on massive industrialization of Ghana is embedded with job creation for the teeming young men and women of this country. Therefore, this event, packaged by the Ghana Trade Fair Company Limited, in support of the government's vision of promoting made in Ghana products and services and job creation, is once again highly commendable.
The 22nd Ghana International Trade Fair will offer the opportunity for exhibitors to introduce their brands and products to emerging and existing companies currently enrolled in the 216 districts. Some of the exhibitors shared their thoughts on how they expect government to assist them in creating employment opportunities under the One District, One Factory initiative.
So far as GHT is concerned, the One District One Factory will play a very vital role in providing equipment for almost all the agro-processing equipment that's required in the industry.
Well, we want government to continue the public-private partnership because we are cable manufacturers. We manufacture cables for the ECG, Gridco, We manufacture high tension cables, and therefore we are going to support the electrification of the whole country, which will definitely support the one district, one factory.
You're still watching GHToday News on GH1 television. Let's take you now to the international front, where exceptionally detailed maps of child growth and education across Africa suggest that no single country is set to end childhood malnutrition by 2030. That target was set by the UN as a sustainable development goal. However, the new maps, which give detail to the level of an individual village, show that almost every nation has at least one region where children's health is improving. The two studies have mapped child growth rates and educational attainment for women of reproductive age, tracking progress in both in 51 countries between 2000 and 2015. The scientists targeted these two factors in particular because they are important predictors of child mortality. This revealed that most African countries, especially much of sub-Saharan Africa and eastern and southern regions, show improvement in malnutrition. They also showed large disparities within individual countries, but by mapping these in such detail, scientists say policymakers will have the evidence to direct their resources. All right, that's how we draw the curtain on today's edition of GHToday News on GH1 television. My name is Ridwan Karim Dini Osman, but guess whose birthday it is? It is the birthday of the Chief Executive Officer of the EIB Network, Mr. Kwabna Nathan Anochie DC Bolare. God richly bless you. And also it is the birthday of my colleague Alice Aite. God bless you both. That'll be it. Kafui.
All right, thank you very much, Ridwan. Welcome to the